You're listening to the Beer Craft Beer and Brewing Podcast. Tune in every Wednesday night at 6:30 Pacific for a dose of beer and brewing banter with your hosts, Ben Holm and Andrew Ziegler.
So hop aboard for some wit and wisdom in the Pacific Northwest, because it's always beer 30 on
The Beer Craft.
Oh, that's my cue, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna be
just associated.
we're gonna be late
for a
now.
moment. Yeah.
That was loud.
Yeah. Do you want to restart that, or should we just roll into it?
What do you want? Do
Yeah,
it
we're
live.
not live,
Do
yeah.
it live.
Yeah. I always just did it on the beat.
Welcome
That's
to the
a-
Beer Craft Podcast. Oh, I'm
Okay.
doing your line, right?
Yeah, I'll
you
go.
better do it live.
All right. Welcome to the Beer Craft Welcome to the Beer Craft Podcast, the show where we believe learning to brew beer should be just as much fun as drinking it. I'm Ben.
And I'm Andrew.
Today, we're breaking some rules, specifically right now, but little joke. No, but we're throwing that shit out the window faster than a warm lager and a hot
Hey,
day.
we haven't talked about that in a couple episodes, so that's right. We need to talk about this. Germany's beloved purity law just went out of the window even faster than a warm lager on a hot day. Good joke, thanks, Ben. That's some clear writing right there. You know, sneaking that in.
Sneak it in.
Sneak it in.
Today, we're talking about brewing for flavor and not for style. In the studio today, we've got Alex Neff from Farmstrong Brewing Co. Sitting in with us.
Alex has been pushing the boundaries of flavor with fruits, herbs, and probably a few things that were originally meant for the garden.
We're going to be exploring ingredient selection, fermentation technique, post-fermentation tweaks, and why sometimes the best way to make a beer is ignore the style guide and just follow your taste buds.
So crack something experimental, and let's get into that.
But first, you guessed it, it's time for
Beer 30.
Shit.
Word,
Welcome,
Ben.
Welcome, Alex.
Alex.
Welcome to the show.
You know what I can say this time? Alex, what did you bring for us today?
Well, I got our standard sales pack, a couple IPAs, porter, and our blonde ale, it's beefy 7% blonde ale. Also, I got ourselves, we'll call it a red, because it's the color red, and I don't believe in beer styles, clearly. So,
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay, the red
It
works.
happens to be red.
It is red.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we're going to talk about it.
yes.
Let's drink one. Crack one open. I would think the blonde would be
Yeah.
the starter.
Yeah.
So this guy is 7% blonde. We brew for the local barbecue joint. And I also keep it on in the tap room. It's got the best margins in the tap room anyway. And my guests will yell at me when I don't sell it.
This is a don't run out scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pain of death.
Yeah, well, it's more that they know I have it in the back, and they get mad when they can't have it. So why am I to deny them the...
Yeah. Why would you want to? That's
Right. This should always be on tap.
Yeah. So I think traditionally blondes are about 4.5%, 5%.
Cheers.
Cheers. But this guy sits at about 7. Real dry, ideally, and good hop note. Citra.
Citra hops.
And some tetany.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's 7%.
Yes.
Has a little bit of sweetness to it still.
Yeah, just a little bit of that alcohol
Yep.
sweetness.
Alcohol sweetness, and the hop is a tiny bit there.
Yep.
a damn drinkable beer.
That's how I like my blondes.
Yeah, pairs great with some ribs.
Heavy. I mean, on the alcohol.
What was the percentage on this one?
7.
Also known as a good start.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple beefier ones today.
Well, gosh, I cleared my calendar. So.
Okay.
Yeah, what'd you bring?
I also got our porter, Stack and Hay, which is our traditional West Coast IPA. Cover Crop, just, it's pretty much a West Coast IPA. We brew it with locally produced malts and then donate $1 of every pint back to the farm preserving community,
Cool.
Skagitonians.
Nice.
So,
That's a good thing.
It's a good program.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Great thing.
I'm excited. So how is everybody? Like, welcome to the show. This is
Welcome to the
this
show,
is
Alex.
freaking awesome.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. You get. I know we've talked in the past. You've got some cool stuff going on. Really excited. The blonde is really good.
Oh yeah.
Did everybody have a good Memorial weekend? Of course, by the time anybody hears this, we'll have just come back from Memorial weekend.
Yeah.
Just come back. Yeah, it was good. I did nothing, absolutely nothing.
I'm
Three
super
days
jealous.
around the house is like a vacation.
Yeah, I did the opposite of that. I did flooring. Changed out a bedroom, put a new subfloor and flooring, and yeah,
working around the house
working.
like a working vacation. You
Yeah,
know, just vacation,
So
working
it's a
away from work.
We're gonna go with workation.
Working
Yeah.
away from
Workation.
work.
Yeah, we're taking a workation
Homework.
weekend. Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, no, I came up with some flower ideas for my new arbor I've been building.
Oh yeah, for the garden
And
project.
actually, I went and purchased them. So now I'm having to freaking go plant tomorrow because it is definitely drying out.
Yeah.
So yeah, come out there, they're all wilted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to buy a bunch of plants and have it turn quickly into compost.
Right, because I have to work now. You know, I have to actually go build the beds that I got to plant them in. Oh, I didn't think of that.
It's all work.
It's all work.
See, we come prepared.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm gonna enjoy this beer. I might actually. I might have to slow down. I've been worked right up till the show here, and
Didn't get any dinner in
I
your
mean,
belly.
yeah, no, and I had some salami for lunch. That
Yeah.
was great. Yeah.
I had the pork belly bowl at the food truck.
Oh, that thing's far from sucking.
No, it's very delicious.
And what's in that?
Pork belly, kimchi, little pickle, cucumber, little quick pickle, kind of Asian cucumber salad deal. It's got
Spicy?
spicy. No, nothing too
No?
spicy. The kimchi's a little spicy, but and then some aioli and deep fried braised pork belly. Cannot go wrong.
It's really, really too good.
Yeah, and then some vegetables to make you feel better. A couple asparagus and squash. Honestly, they were delicious.
Yeah. They don't. It's pretty. They don't fuck it up
No.
at
Rooted Kitchen.
Rooted Kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark does a good job. New menu every week.
Yeah, we were out there for a week ago for the truck show.
Yes. Yeah, I think Savannah Woods.
Savannah Woods, yes. That was fantastic. It was a good little. That's cute. That's a cool little stage out there.
Yeah, we moved it over the winter. We did a lot of work cleaning up the beer garden, trying to make it look nicer. We're trying to drive more sales in the beer garden or in the brewery in general.
Sure.
The only thing you can really do is make it more welcoming and enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell people where you are. So.
Yeah.
You have cornhole?
We do have cornhole.
Yeah,
You got to give
cool.
up your license for bags.
All right. Give up your license. We
Yeah.
play cornhole.
You lose less bags that way.
That is true.
Hey,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
if you don't have your what if you don't have that newfangled license thing? Is it okay?
No, it's all right. It's
all right?
It's,
Woo.
it's not like flying in the same country.
Right,
You
yeah.
do not need a passport.
'Cause I don't have that license yet.
Oh,
No.
you might want to. You might
It's
want to.
it's enhanced.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, enhanced.
the enhanced.
Passport will work. I think you can get a state ID version, but you might as well get a passport card at that point.
Well, I have a passport. It's expiring though soon, I think.
Renewal's easier than is
yeah.
definitely easier than.
Yeah, do it
Starting
before
over.
it expires. You get a
Right,
year
right,
or
right.
two, I think.
Yeah, I've already renewed it
Oh,
once.
good. Yeah.
That means it's 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. That must have been
When you went to.
Mexico the first time. Dang.
Yeah. It's been a bit.
been a bit,
that
yeah.
blonde. What else? What else we got?
I don't know. What else we got?
I ran
I'm
out of
thirsty.
blonde. You know,
Yeah.
the problem with splitting a beer now 3 ways is there's so much less of it. Which is why
Well-
Alex is a rock star. Brought a. We'll say it's a 5-pack. We're gonna call it a 5-pack. You know,
5-pack?
Had one at the brewery before you leave. You know.
Yes.
All right, so this is the red.
You need one for the road.
That's
yeah,
right,
so
right.
this is here
Okay, so
comes
this
the
is red in
rooster.
color, not in style.
Well, I don't really know the difference between a red and amber and a brown, if I'm being perfectly honest.
they're all kind of like, oh, that's beer and it's red.
Yeah. It's got some caramel malt in it,
Yeah.
as you would expect. Caramel rye, which I do not tell anybody, because people like...
They do listen to this show.
Caramel rye.
Yeah, caramel rye.
Wow,
So,
yeah.
the main thing is if you tell people it's got rye in the beer, they tend to think it's going to taste like caraway. People don't want caraway. But they do want rye, because rye's delicious.
Oh, right. The mythology
Yes.
of taste buds, right? Like
Right.
the association of rye is
Rye
caraway.
bread, and caraway
Yeah.
is the primary flavor of rye bread.
That's the one
Yeah.
that makes it taste that
and
way.
this does not taste like caraway.
No, it is a hoppy one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, 100% Cascade hops. I kind of gave it like a Noble Saws treatment. So,
Whoa, it's got
a
some
couple small additions.
Cascade hops.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like right on the tongue. That's right. I can feel it.
Classic.
It's
Yeah.
like a middle edition of the hops.
Yeah, so we did the whole gambit 60, 30, 15 whirlpool. So, and I like to double. And I think it's mellowed out a little bit. On day one, it was about 10 IBUs, whatever IBUs mean. Too much, but it's mellowed out quite a bit on the bitterness. So to do it again, I might take that 60 out, but I think we did half pound, 1 pound, 2 pounds,
And-
3, 4.
And you're
something
brewing
like
on
that.
what size system are you brewing on?
We have a 25 barrel brew deck. Our tanks are 20 barrels. Barrel's 31 gallons. And we can brew as small as a 12 barrel. So this guy was a 12 barrel batch. It's going to take months to sell. It's just the style.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Your amber, I think North Sound's got the here's your damn amber.
Right.
They're like, yes, we have one of those, and you can have one.
Yeah.
Right.
No, every week you will have one person ask for it. But only the one.
Yeah.
And if I was one of these smaller guys making 6 cakes at a time, no problem. I don't like to sit on beer for months and months at a time and try to pass it off like it's the same quality, unless it's a kind of beer that can age well. Your
Right.
imperial stouts, your porter, the red will pick on age a little easier.
You've got the
Hazy
same
IPA, I
you got the
don't
same
want.
freshness, concerns that everybody else. Everybody
Yep.
in homebrew still has them
Exactly.
too. We don't wanna
Yeah, reds,
try not to sit around.
Reds start turning too.
Yeah, they'll get there. And this is a fundamentally different beer than it was in February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoyable.
A few months. Yeah.
Yeah, we stained it with some chocolate malt to get the color going.
I mean, yeah. So you got beer flavored beer.
Yep.
What do you call it?
Here comes the rooster.
Here comes the rooster's a great name.
Yeah, little Alice in Chains.
But maybe what I mean, we were talking about the style, the lack of popularity. Is it just because there's no, if you looked at the style guideline, nothing is really inspiring about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some trends to it. Like, they were real popular in the 90s. If you wanted to pick out the stereotypical red amber drinker, they're a boomer who started drinking craft beer in the 90s, maybe making it.
And got stuck there or something.
And amber was
Yeah.
the thing that pushed them away from your macro lagers.
Right.
And so they have a special place in their heart. You got Alaskan Amber's great beer, Mac and Jack, African Amber.
The style was a definite bridge
Yeah.
into craft if you
And-
didn't fall in love with hops.
As a millennial, I grew up right when I was starting to drink. We were in the brown but 110 IBU IPA era.
Yeah.
Which is a miracle. I like beer because God, those beers are not very good.
The black IPA. There were that beer didn't have a lot of room for mediocrity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's standing up in the IPA landscape in general.
Yeah.
But was very popular there for a good 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
I think it replaced by the hazy.
Yes.
Kind of really killed it.
And then the hazy just changed the IPA world.
Yeah.
Of course. Made them less bitter and made them more approachable. I think the Zoomers want your your hazy, your not very bitter. I'm still a big fan of Space Dust, West Coast IPAs.
We just did our last
doing
episode.
the same episode again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's literally last week.
Last week?
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
But fantastic. Enjoying that.
Yeah, that's where you were on your journey looking for the IPA.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, ironically, I could call this a red IPA, and it's not a red IPA. If I dry hopped it, we're definitely like there. And it'd probably sell a little better. I think I could call my porter a black IPA. It'd probably sell a little better. I don't.
It's all about marketing.
People know what an IPA is, and some people think, I don't think they with malice think this, but to them, IPA is craft beer,
Right.
and those two things are synonymous.
Yeah, the whole story is you've got your pilsners, your macro lagers, and then that third beer, that IPA.
Yeah.
There's 100 other styles, but we're not here to talk about styles today, are we?
Hey, Ben, what's hoppin' at Northwest Brewer Supply?
Oh, Mike, just living it up in Paradise. We've got all the ingredients to make everyone's next homebrew batch a memorable one. This month, we got a special deal happening. First 20 people to pop in and buy a starter kit will get a $20 beer kit.
Well, hey now, that is one beautiful deal. Hey, you heard the man. Be one of the first 20 people to buy a starter kit and get a beer kit for only $20 today at Northwest Brewer Supply at 940 South Spruce Street in Burlington.
What's that?
I just wonder what that fucking buzz is. Where are you going from? Banter?
The top. The top.
All right, Ben, that was beer 30.
Yeah. All right. That was beer 30. Moment to sip, savor, and wonder why you ever settled for boring beer.
And if you think that pint was interesting, wait till you hear what Alex Neff has to say about turning unlikely ingredients into flavor bombs.
We're talking beers that taste like dessert, spices that should be illegal, and yeast strains with more personality than some brewers I know.
So stick around. After the break, we just took a break, but we'll be throwing style guidelines out the window and building beers from the ground up.
This is the Beercraft Podcast, and you haven't tasted anything yet. So, Alex, again, thanks for coming down to the shop. I know you do something cool at Farmstrong in this Flavor Town camp. Why don't we start? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was kind of alluding to this earlier. We got a real big system. It takes a while for us to sell the beer we make. And our guests have been asking for new beer. Give me something new. I want something new. So a little over a year ago, came up with the idea of, let's take some finished beer, add something to it, every Friday, new flavor. It's been a pretty successful program. I got one guy on Untapped who every week is reviewing them, which is actually kind of nice. I get to see at least how one guy likes them all. But I just take finished beer that I kind of know the flavor profile of it, how I feel, the flavors, the base ingredients of beer-flavored beer make it taste like. And I'll add food, usually a lot of syrups, sometimes vinegar, spices, to emphasize or pair with the flavors that are naturally in the beer. Right. And we just put, just like a home brewer, my old homebrew kegs, I fill those up 40 pints at a time. We sell them through the weekend. And they're a lot of fun. You can really experiment. One of the most successful ones we have this hazy with these New Zealand hops that I just get a ton of pineapple off of. So, what pairs well with pineapple? Roasted chilies like Fresnos and habaneros. So I take some pineapple juice, some roasted Fresnos, habaneros. I boil those two together to make a tea. Throw that in the soda keg, put the beer on top of it. We sold that beer out at 6:30 on Friday.
That went a hot minute, huh?
Yeah, that was a quick one.
Sounds to me like that's something that other brewers are going to be like, what is he putting in that? And then he does it, and it's a home run.
Yeah.
Right.
And then every once in a while,
If everybody's begging for it,
yeah.
hell yeah.
every once in a while on Thursday, I throw away 3 pints of beer, and it's whatever.
Yeah.
Clean the keg and call it a day. To
Right.
be fair, being a professional brewer, I throw away a lot of beer.
I just
It's
hope
like
you throw it
it's
away.
the ultimate
You know-
tragedy in homebrew land, right?
You know my, excuse me, I'm drowning in beer over here. On my beer shirt, I have my name tag is Drain. So you can always use me to throw that extra beer away.
There you are.
Hell yeah.
We mentioned we were talking earlier about the amber and kind of that style. Is that was that so kind of breaking your own ground on that? Was that a deliberate choice for you?
Yeah, well, so we kind of want to provide everything for something for everybody if we can. And people do like the amber. Last year, after we took our Oktoberfest beer off, which is a similar colored lager, we made an amber. People liked it. Took 10 months to sell and called it a day. So this year I was like, well, let's make a red. It's a different recipe, but I didn't look up what an Irish red is or what an American red is.
Just kind of
I didn't
how
go
to
to
make
the
it red.
BJCP. No, I went, well, get some flavorful base malts. Some I think there's Munich and Vienna in there. Get some caramel malts, some caramel rye, as I was saying earlier.
right.
Use hops to bitter it as it should be. Make sure it's dry and clear, and know the flavors that those malts are going to give you just by reading the descriptions, and you go, well, if these flavors are what they say I get out of them, and I know these flavors mix well with other flavors,
Right. You're doing
you
a
can
good
make
pairing on them.
yeah, and you can make your thing taste good because you know, well, I'm gonna get like dark fruit flavors off of this malt. Well, what goes well with dark fruit flavors? Maybe the flavors I get off of these hops. Mix those two together, and we have a beer.
You start thinking like a cook.
Well,
Right,
that's
it's kind
the
of the-
secret, isn't
right?
it?
Yeah.
My whole life I've been a cook, so, and I just cook beer.
So, just
Cooking
we're
beer.
working with flavors we know and understand and want to play together.
Yes.
We
That's
have a
like,
spectrum we can play in.
Best book you can buy for cooking and brewing beer is the Flavor Bible. It's just a dictionary of ingredients, and it tells you what ingredients go with those ingredients, and the bold ones really go well with them.
right.
And you can look at that book, put those 3 or 4 flavors together that the book says,
and
and shut your brain off, and it will work. Onions, bacon, and cheese always go together.
right.
Always.
It's always it's magic, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So certain flavors definitely.
I just add
Definitely
eggs to
have
that
them,
every
right.
morning.
Yep.
Now I want eggs. I just realized I hadn't eaten lunch or much of a lunch and no dinner yet.
Well, I have eggs if you need them.
Yeah.
Chickens,
Oh,
their
right.
chickens aren't laying yet. No.
Yeah, and
No,
we'll have
yeah.
them in like 14 more weeks, kind of shit.
Yeah, a couple months.
Wee
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
well,
were in the studio.
I got 6 laying hens, so I am a little flush. So they have been chilling out for the past few days.
I was not a very good
Right.
chicken daddy, so I that sounds terrible.
A chicken daddy. I was never a good chicken daddy out of the old chicken ranch.
Yeah,
I made all the hens run away from me.
yeah. I didn't want those anymore.
No. All right, Alex. So, how do you vet a new ingredient before it hits the full batch? Right? Are you gonna make it a truly the 12 barrel batch on all of your experiments?
Oh, I cannot. No. I can barely justify brewing a red.
Right?
let
Do you, have a
alone
pilot, do you have a pilot system there?
No, unfortunately not. I would. The closest we got, the college, the Cardinal Craft Brewing Program has
Yeah.
a 1-barrel system.
Do they help you?
We've been trying to figure it out. It's the government. It's a little complicated to pay for it all, and they
It's
don't.
really
The whole
different at
web
the
of
school.
Paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that is this summer we've been targeting collabs because if we can get rid of half the batch, I can brew a style that I no, I can't sell. So, like a hazy. I sell 2 kegs of hazy every 10 days. That's no problem. I can brew as much hazy as I want. I got 10 taps that I'm not brewing 10 hazies, right? So
You're not that place.
no, unfortunately, I mean, some of those places I question their margins, but
It's not a cheap. It's not a cheap
hops,
beer.
hops are not cheap. No,
They're not free at all.
no.
At that scale, 12 barrels, you're going through some hops.
I mean, our we did a 20-barrel batch for the Tulip Day haze. I put 110 pounds of hops in it. That is not a small amount.
Yep.
And now I used ones I already bought. I bought cheap for years. I make an effort to bring the cost down. But
Sure. Yeah, if you can get into a 2023 instead of the 2025.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I'm using hops from 2021 in my fridge,
Hey, if you
so
yeah,
it's
what
not
do you
really.
Yeah, it's like, hey, they're packed good. You
Yeah, they're vacuum packed.
Yeah.
I trust them. They're in the fridge.
yeah.
I'm cold. They come from Yakima.
I think
the
some of
next day.
and I think
Like,
some of that sensory. I even heard they had somebody I think a Yakima chief had found like a case of really old stuff, and they tested it before chugging it. Still passed, and it was like well past the.
As long as it's preserved, yeah.
Yeah,
As long as it's
if
packaged
you're
right.
you're packaged right, temperatures are.
Yeah, I remember
you
you used
cold.
to buy like 2-3 year old pounds of hops.
The price is definitely better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Would you
I
go
mean,
by the pound? Yes.
I haven't homebrewed in 6 years. I have 8 pounds of hops in my freezer that have been there for 6 years. I have no concern about them at all. I'm sure they're fine. I should probably bring them in and dry hop a Flavor Friday or something, but
That is an option in front of you.
yes.
Yeah. Let's see. You kind of mentioned that one. Talked all about the flavor Bible. Alex, have you ever built a beer around a single ingredient? Something, like, well, you started with honey and then the rest is history. Just fell into place. I mean,
Not professionally. So, on the homebrew scale, definitely raspberries. That was the thing that really got me into it. I was like, I had this bug in my brain of a raspberry beer. Love raspberries. So, made a raspberry wheat beer, and I have iterated on that recipe from the syrup kit of day one to, full all grain, hazy wheat beers with Sundew as the yeast, which is a omega yeast strain that is the Belgian hef strains with the clove cut out of it with the crisper, so it drives this like honeydew strawberry flavor.
that's kind of cool.
So raspberry wheat beer was like kind of my target, especially as a home brewer. Now on the professional scale, there's no way I'm buying that many raspberries. I can though buy a 5-pound thing of raspberries, put them in a soda keg, and leave
There you
them
go.
in there for 10 days and call
Sounds
it.
like another flavor.
20
Friday.
barrel
Yeah.
batch raspberry.
Call me when you do that one, though.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it over the summer, I'm sure.
So, what advice would you give homebrewers who want to get weird with ingredients but still want something drinkable?
Have a good philosophy of what makes a good beer, right? If you have a good process and in my opinion, as a default, beer should be dry and clear, and should be fermented with a clean yeast. Unless you can argue that your beer needs to not be those things. As a default, make it dry, make it clear, have a neutral yeast. And then just go for it. Honestly, make mistakes, brew more, and then make mistakes.
Everybody should brew more. Just brew more. I think I made a joke years ago. It was like every problem in the brew house can be solved by making more beer.
Yep.
It's not really a joke, but I made it funny, and I don't remember where the hell that's at. So I probably cut that out so we don't have to talk. I'm not teasing.
Doing it
everybody.
live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So you mentioned clean yeast.
Yes.
So
That's
let's talk
important.
yeast.
Well, he just talked about how you prepare this yeast.
I'm a little
with
surprised with
a
that.
fruit
I'm a
beer.
little surprised about the clean yeast.
And that was an
then
Omega?
for
Omega Belgian?
Yeah.
Right.
So it depends. Yeast is like another frontier, and from a homebrew standpoint, you have a lot more to play with because you're gonna buy a fresh pitch of yeast every time, liquid or dry. I mean, you can recycle, but honestly, get a pack of dry yeast. It's so much easier.
Hey, I gotta sell this stuff. You know what I mean?
Liquid or dry.
Dry is so nice. It is.
If you just want to make sure you have yeast to make beer all the time, you don't want to go down to the homebrew store all the time. You want to buy 10 packs from the homebrew store at one time.
Yeah.
You want to get yourself something nice and simple. But if you want to experiment, you can just pick up more different varieties.
What yeast do you guys use?
We use Chico's our main ale yeast, so that's going to be US-05.
Yeah.
That's the stuff Sierra Nevada uses. All of these beers were made with it. It's a very neutral strain, clean fermenting.
Yeah, second most popular yeast strain on the planet.
Yep. And then for our hazies, we do SO4 because it's a haze stable yeast. And I like the dry packs. They got a good value for me.
Yeah.
The nice thing about, especially on the hazies, I can use those dry pitches and deaden them with a real early dry hop and just not need to worry about it.
Man, you got to open up a lot of those little packets, don't you?
I buy 500 grammars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One big fat brick.
Yeah.
That was a homebrew joke.
Oh, yes. I've done it on a one barrel system. I've done 6 little packs.
Yeah, so I can definitely see that on like the commercial scale. Like, you've got to buy.
I got to buy a lot of yeast at once.
Yeah.
I'm paying, $60 to $80 a pitch minimum, sometimes up to $400.
You get it's swapping a yeast, commercial pitch of yeast, on a whim is costly.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely better systems for reusing yeast or.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with those commercial liquid pitches they get. And some of those funky yeasts don't come dry.
Are you ever doing a yeast culture of sorts? Are you ever mixing any kind of them?
We did one with Garden Path. We're doing a collab with them. So it's a clove negative, or no, it definitely isn't clove negative, but it is a Belgian strain. We did with some of our house lager yeast as well, co-ferment in a real light IPA, like a 5%er.
Right on.
Yeah.
And where's that at? Is that you have it on tap?
Oh, it's in a tank right now. It's cold conditioning.
It will be on tap.
Yes. Yeah, probably in July, August.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. One of the things homebrewers are kind of spoiled on the whole yeast front.
Yes.
If we want it, we can just go grab it.
Yeah.
We can experiment, play around, switch up the yeast for the same unit price as, our old standby US-05.
Yep.
It doesn't cost us anything else to just grab it back. I guess is the short answer to what I'm saying. When you were homebrewing, were you a little more experimental on yeast? Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of, when I didn't have temperature control, I gravitated towards Kvike because it's a lot easier to make things hot than it is cold. Mm-hmm. So I would buy
way cheaper.
Cheaper. Inkwell, heat pad, make it 100 degrees. Way easier than glycol coils, make it 60 degrees.
Yeah.
So I used a lot of Kvike before I had my home glycol set up. And then after that, I would use Belle Saison, SO4, Chico every now and then. Though, as a home brewer, I think I used way more SO4 just because it brought a little bit more to the party.
Another rock solid yeast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I use for my red.
Yeah.
I would typically do split batches as a home brewer. I would, I have a 10-gallon system, so I would put 2 different yeasts every time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And for me, the mileage on my kegerator was huge. Like 1 brew day, 2 flavors, and there were a lot of interactions, like completely different interactions. Like apart from the color, everything else about the beer was completely different, flavor wise. So there's a lot of really cool stuff, especially those Belgian ones. I really love those yeast. Did you play with any? I know you got a smaller system in Mexico. Did you guys play around with yeast, or did you just kind of
Kvike yeast? That was definitely one, because one of the fermenters were non-temperature controlled.
Yeah.
And then just the 05 or the 04 or the Irish ale yeast from White Yeast, I think.
Yeah.
Or the White Labs. I was in Mexico, close enough to White Labs in San Diego, and I would run up there once in a while and get something new. I'd go up there and got like Hefeweizen 4, so good. And then I got it once, and I think they were trying out the different strains of the version of their Hef strain, and it was Hef 4. I got a Hef 4 and I got a Hef 5, I think, and I really liked the Hef 4. It had the bubblegummy flavor, not so heavy. I mean, you almost couldn't detect that, but it was there. And it like complemented a little bit of that hop, and it was just so good. It was a light Hefeweizen, super good. And then I couldn't find that yeast anymore.
Oh,
We got to play with. I like to brew a lot of Kolsch, or I like to brew a lot more Kolsch. Let's say that. I have Kolsch goals, big ones, but I have got to play with several of the different Kolsch strains available, and man, there's years. Some of those are years apart, or in terms of flavor.
The Kolsch
strains, yeah.
well, I think the owner of Chuckanut is rumored to have taken a strand from Germany in his boot home, and that's the Chuckanut home strand.
There you go.
And I hear that's the quickest way to no longer be an employee of Chuckanut is give away that yeast.
Oh, I'm sure.
Give away the yeast.
Yeah.
I am sure that is.
I can go get that yeast out of that beer.
Yeah, I mean, it's filtered.
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, not completely.
Yeah. Filters,
let it sit.
filters not pasteurized.
Just let it sit, and then pour again over the top of it. Let it sit again.
Have you ever played around with like any natural or open fermentation or anything like that in your days?
No, well, not open, but yes, wild. So I've done a couple experiments. Some of my last homebrew projects that are still just sitting in the carboys because I haven't committed to just deciding what to do with them yet. But I stole some yeast bugs at the bottom of a Garden Path bottle or two, inoculated that into some wort, and that's just been chilling for 3-4 years now. And then we have this gorgeous rose bush right outside our window, and I just boiled up some quick DMT 10 Play-Doh, threw in a handful of hops or whatever, just to kind of make an environment for yeast I want to grow.
Gotcha.
And then I just threw a bunch of roses just right in there. Super floral, interesting fermentation. But again, it's sitting around. It's probably gross at this point, but it was an interesting experiment. And if I wasn't so busy brewing beer all the time when I did them, I probably would have finished them.
Yeah. So yeah, I imagine you're probably not big into homebrew anymore now that you're.
I haven't set it back up since the move.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I have my.
Well, that's a twofold. It's when you move, it's always the last thing that gets unpacked. I don't know why that is.
I have my.
I never unpacked mine once or twice.
Robo Brew makes a good sous vide machine, and that is what it's gotten its use out of. So.
Absolutely. We're gonna do. We have an electric setup as well, and we're gonna do a Berliner Weiss. We need to get that on the calendar actually.
Oh, so
Just
you do a kettle sour?
Yeah, a kettle sour in one of those. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you.
Wasn't it pretty like in that what's the brew setup called?
We have the mash and boil.
Yeah.
Brewer's Edge mash and boil. Yeah.
All in one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just basically I got to show up and mill some grain and throw in there and push a button and watch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sit there
you
and
just
drink
set
beer?
the temperatures and you do your work.
Does it?
like-
It's great. It's,
Yeah.
I built a lot of mash tuns and build your owns. I did brew in a bag, and then I got that thing, and I was like, why'd I waste my time?
Holy crap! Yeah, as soon as those things came out, like the number of large kettles I've sold since those electrics have showed up on the scene is 3.
How
Yeah,
about homebrew? How about homebrew meeting day?
Homebrew meetings, as far as like brewing,
I'll just come there and brew. And,
dude. Yeah,
And I'll just be at the meeting while I'm brewing.
yeah. I might be teaching a class out back, but you're always welcome. Yeah.
Are you going to use both of them?
No, I don't. On the depends on the class. If it's the extract 101 class,
Right, you're not going to use
not
that.
gonna use it that day. No,
Okay.
no. We
Well, remember,
Gotta do
homebrew
that.
meeting day.
it's a great date. That's a great idea though.
Because you're going to be there already, and then I
Already
can show up
booked.
early.
I'm already booked.
All right.
Cut that bit out too.
We're cutting this short. So bad.
What's our
I'm not
timeline
getting
look at?
43.
We're at 43.
Yeah, we're going to have to go over like a minute 10.
Well, we got like. There's also a lot of. There's. I apologize. This episode's gonna have a lot of trim.
It doesn't have to be trimmed. We can do it live.
Oh yeah. That
doesn't
sounds
matter.
like a
Send it.
great
3
show.
hours.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So your post-fermentation additions.
Yes. That is the primary thing these Flavor Fridays are.
Okay. So you're gonna brew the beer, right?
Yep.
You're gonna whirlpool it. You're gonna chill it.
Yep.
You're gonna throw in the fermenter, and then throw whatever on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Tell us about a couple of them you've done.
yeah. So a lot of them. So in the big fermenter, the most post brew we're adding is like dry hops, that kind of thing. Our cold IPA we filtered onto dry hops and then packaged it.
Are you throwing any coffee in there?
No, we do have a coffee porter. So that one we make a cold brew, and then we'll just add that in the ratio we got set. It's like 3 quarts to every 5 gallons of this porter right here.
Already fermented.
Already fermented, finished in a keg, and I just jump it from one keg to the other. I mean, if I time it up right, and I try to, it's in the bright tank, and it's a little easier to keg off than hanging out in the fridge,
Right.
Playing with CO2 lines.
Berries.
Berries, have done berries. Did berries with the Pilsner a few times. Blueberries, strawberries. Blueberries are always hard. They're such a mild flavor. And so I find if you want to add a lot, I always add, if I'm adding real fruit, frozen.
Frozen fruit?
Frozen fruit in
Like,
bags.
I've
and
got a
let it thaw.
huge cherry tree out back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna just add the whole fruit to it, right?
No, you gotta break down those cell walls and make the juice, the flavoring, bioavailable.
So I'm just not gonna cut it in half and get the seed out and then throw the half of the cherry in there and think it's gonna do me good.
No, I mean, eventually it'll break down, but it might take you a couple months.
Okay.
If you can do a little bit of work for that first,
Right.
you can cook it. So, like, if you wanted to cut them in half and add them into your whirlpool, you're going to seep out cherry juice, but then you're going to add heat to that flavor.
Right. Drive off
Alternatively,
some of the aromas and
yes, sir.
flavors. Yeah.
Alternatively, you can freeze them, which helps break down those cellular walls. And then when they thaw, you want to make sure you take all the juice and everything and even give them a little mush up, help macerate them.
Yep. Break up those cell walls.
Yep. Throw that in your finished beer or in your fermenting
Sounds
beer.
So good. I've not done that in a few years.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it sounds good nowadays.
You can do a technique called carbonic maceration, which the wine world is playing with. I haven't done it a ton. My understanding, and I am not a science doctor, so don't quote me, even though I'm on a podcast. My understanding is you just throw it in a pressurized container with an unreasonable amount of CO2 on top of it. I think you're talking like 30, 40 psi. And then that will break down the cell walls. I hear a lot of good things about that. You lose something from freezing, so
Pressure.
but you got to be careful with that. You got to make sure you have a good quality keg that's not going to blow up. The Ocean Man doesn't like it if I have anything over 15 psi for a reason.
Sure. Even though the keg's rated for like 60.
60, yeah. And it had Pepsi Cola in it at one point, which it wasn't 15 psi, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. And then, there's no requirement to recertify those.
Right.
So, everything else gets recert testing. This is all just homebrew shit.
Right.
Old,
Right.
used, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have, there's aftermarket new ones that look the same as the old ones.
They're
I
rated.
trust those a little more.
Yeah. I mean, you could get a set of PRVs
Yeah.
and swap them out if your keg lid allows, and go through the testing.
Yep.
What does it do? Does it pass? Yeah.
If I was gonna buy new kegs, I'd be buying.
I would just buy a new keg.
Yeah.
buy Sankey kegs.
Yeah.
Good, done.
Yep. Sankeys are hard to put stuff in, so there's still a value
true.
for those soda cakes, for me at least. Because I mean, I can dose a Sankey cake. I just got to figure out. I got a yeast.
You got to
brain,
put it in
yeah.
You got to get a valve in the line.
Yeah.
So you can introduce it in the line.
But it's a lot easier. Same reason home brewers still use them.
Yeah.
You can open that lid. I can stick my hand to the bottom and move it around.
My arms are way bigger than that.
Yeah.
It does not work for measurements.
Yeah,
I think
right,
the
about right there.
I have I've definitely seen like a gradual deterioration of the used keg marketplace.
Yep.
Yeah, if you get
as a
Sankey
retailer.
kegs, then you have to have a keg cleaner.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the rub. That's not a fantastic homebrew solution.
No, removing the spear is doable, but I don't really like. I have enough extra
You've
kegs
got the
that
gear.
I
Like,
don't,
you've got
I don't really do them. I throw
cleaning
them in
system.
a pile. Yeah, I clean them. I
Yeah,
clean
yeah.
them with my auto cleaner. And if you have a really good relationship with a brewery, that's also an option. If you come, when they're cleaning kegs, them cleaning one keg is nothing.
I mean, does yours have a slow ramp
I've
up
got 6
temperature
of them right
wise?
here.
I know some of those smaller systems take a while to heat.
Oh no, mine's pretty hot. I fill it up with hot water, so it's got a heating element. I have a very nice keg washer. Honestly, too nice of a keg washer. But
I'll have to come and wash a keg for washing my keg, one
Yeah.
for one.
So have you done that? You mentioned that CO2. Have you done that in a keg?
We tried it once. I don't know how much it did, to be honest. It was very flavorful. I think it was plum hazy.
So you just open the keg and pour it out, kind of thing, or how'd you manage for that?
I put it in a bag in the keg, and then I loaded it with a bunch of CO2.
Did it liquefy it?
Yeah, a little bit, and then I just put the beer right on without
Oh,
opening
okay,
it.
yeah. That makes sense.
So I left it all contained under pressure. Oxygen's not too big of a worry on a beer that I'm gonna have in and out before the end of the weekend,
Right.
but you should avoid it whenever possible, on the cold side especially.
Yeah.
I am a big hater of oxidized beer.
It's
Have
the
you ever
number
had-
one.
Have you ever had one of your beers go bad from one of these additions, or
We've had one that was not good, but it didn't go bad. It was the red ale. We did a black cherry red ale, and I had some random flavorings I found in a drawer that were samples from someone, I don't know, years before I started working there. And this was back when the red was still pretty bitter, and we added it to that, and it tasted like cherry cough syrup, and it brought the bitterness level way up, and there was no sweetness to back up the cherry. And we had one person, the guy who's reviewed every single Flavor Friday on Untappd, gave it 10 stars or 5 stars, whatever.
Give that
4.9.
that guy a beer, man.
Yeah. And he was the third person who bought it. 2 of the others, we gave them a new beer, and we took it off and threw it out. It was just not good. Like, all of us were like,
Oop, that didn't work.
This was a failure.
Oop,
And
whoop,
then
there it went.
And then we had a double dry hop that I was on vacation. My assistant was doing it, and he forgot to put the dry hops in a sock. And if you have ever dry hopped in a Sankey keg, you don't put the hops in a sock. They just expand and clog the hole. you can't serve the beer at that point. So that was a fun cleanup. Had to take it.
Oh boy.
First time in many years that I actually took apart a Sankey keg because the hops were all up in it.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad day, and it doesn't matter whose keg it blows up in.
Yeah.
It's a bad day.
Yeah. And the beauty, I know it's rough when you're brewing 5 gallons at a time and you screw up 5 gallons of beer. But when you're brewing 500 gallons at a time, you're like, it's spilled beer. No reason to cry.
You mentioned
beer.
using 100 pounds of hops.
Yeah.
And then so grain bill, like hitting 100 pounds on a barrel is not that hard to do. Not even hard to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so our Skagit Pilsner, which is our lowest ABV beer, is about 900 pounds for 20 barrels.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's what, 50 pounds a barrel-ish, a little under. And then Stack and Hay, I think, is about 2,000 pounds for the whole batch. Almost a 7% beer there. And our Imperial Stout, I think we had 2,800 pounds in it for a 12-barrel batch.
2,800 pounds.
Yeah, for a 12-barrel batch.
Golly, that's a lot.
Thankfully we didn't have to double brew day that. That was just send it. I even added sugar to it. Only got 9%, but yeah, it's fine. The tax man wants more money when you get above 10. So
Oh, the rate, it's a little extra scale on that.
yeah, I mean, if you see a beer at 9.9%,
That's why.
it might be why. I'm not gonna say that anybody would be being dishonest to the tax man. He'd do his
Well,
job.
because you can only be within 0.5%
I get
for labeling.
plus or minus 0.4.
0.4.
Yeah, so-
not even 0.5.
No, so
Yeah.
but I get that whole gambit.
Right.
So the cover crop was originally going to be a pale ale, and Skagit Valley produced malt is super gassy and has a lot of sugar in it. So I plugged in the old pale ale recipe for it, and it came out at 7.2%.
Different
like-
different grain, different.
Right, and I wanted a 5% pale ale.
Yeah, I had calculated for X, and
Yeah.
I got Y. Yeah.
So I was like, well, it's a pale ale. We're gonna go on the lowest end of the spectrum, and then people don't buy pale ales. They want an IPA. I think you can call most things an IPA, and people are happier to buy it. And
Right.
it was an IPA. It had enough alcohol in it that it was an IPA. So we called it an IPA. We told people the truth about the ABV, and then everyone was happier. So
They just bought it.
yeah,
It's a blonde IPA.
yep.
And then bam,
I've
your sales
seen
go
a
up.
lot of IPAs drifting into just yellow.
We just had an IPA show.
Yeah.
The lightest, yeah.
We had an IPA show. Did we not?
We did.
Yep.
One of
Speaking
probably
of
many.
A couple of them.
Speaking of flavor, I think one of the easiest ways to get a lot of flavor in an IPA is to put pale Pilsner malt in it, have it get the heck out of the way for the hops, because that's what we're
It's
emphasizing.
right. It is supposed to be a hop delivery system.
Yes.
The IPA. It just doesn't sound as cool to say it.
Right.
It doesn't fit on the label really in nice, friendly ways. Terrible marketing story.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
how long have you been homebrewing?
I started homebrewing in 2019. I hit it hard. I tried. I was like, I want to brew once a week. My spouse was like, that's too much.
That's a lot of beer.
And I was like, every other week. And it was like, all right. And so eventually, I pretty quickly moved from the syrups to the all grain. And I was adding fruit into that. I was playing with yeast in there, chocolate, blueberry stouts, and I
All
never
sorts of fun
never
stuff.
quite
Sounds
got
good.
to the like throw candy in the beer. But total
Cereal?
respect.
Cereal?
Nope, never did it.
No
I
cereal
did.
or Jolly Ranchers?
No, I did do a Kentucky Common where I tried to do a cereal mash with the grits, which resulted in a lot of burns on my forearms because grits boil and they're not very fun. But and also, fun fact: when you're using an induction burner and an electric boil kettle on apartment circuit breaker, you will pop the breaker
Oh.
if you turn all of them all the way up. But
Fun fact.
yeah, fun fact. Not that I would know.
Yeah. You know, I have one more like post-fermentation. Mango. You used mango in any of your beers?
I have not. I'm
disappointed there.
Ben loves me.
I also love mango, but am sadly allergic to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Terrible.
We've used mango syrup, I think. We
Love
use a lot of coffee syrups from Cash and Carry.
Okay.
They are not as bad as you think. But if you
Hey, it made my latte better.
right. If
For a
you got
reason.
the time
What else is gonna make better?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you got the time and energy, using real fruit is great. You get a lot of nuances from real fruit. I like to support local farmers,
Yeah.
obviously. And we grow like the best berries.
If you're a mango farmer and want to support the show,
Yeah.
send us a kilo. We'll use
We'll
it too.
start with the base. Start with the base. You add the fruits. Mix it all together. Throw it in.
Raspberry is a fun one though.
Yes.
Yeah, I have made the mistake of just adding them. I mean, it worked. It was a nice extractive raspberry flavor. The color was great. I was able to clear the beer fine. Except when I added the raspberries in their whole condition, they quickly tried to escape. Yeah, a beer
You had
eruption.
a hop geyser.
Yeah, a beer geyser.
Yes.
Yeah. I caught it. Was able to take the before it filled the airlock. I mean, I turned my back on it, and it was coming out of the carboy. Yeah, and so the little we found out those little micro hairs and the irregular surface of the fruit.
Keep the oxygen.
Those little irregular surface becomes a sublimation site, which is fucking cool, fancy word for stable gas going from a liquid phase rapidly to a gas phase, expanding and getting the fuck out of town. So that happens. So you don't have to do that. I figured it out.
If you have ever seen those videos of exploding dry hopping, that is the exact same thing. It's the hops nucleate the suspended CO2 and it comes right out.
The fuck out.
I dry hopped our hazy on Saturday, and I'm getting up on the tallest ladder you can buy to get to the top of this tank, and I am bag, close the hatch, go down, wait. Because I do not want to fall off no ladder. I don't want to get covered in hops and beer. And it's real.
I'm phobic of ladder. I can't do ladders.
Well, God made me 5'6" for a reason. He wants to keep me close to the ground.
Yeah. I took a sign down at the mall. We had a store rented there, and the door was 20 feet in the air with just a vinyl sign that was like, use double sticky-sided tickets.
Yep.
Apparently they make it in like will survive a hurricane
Yeah.
level stickiness, which was what was used on my sign, and trying to get that off. I thought I was going to die for over an hour and a half falling off that ladder. And I can't climb a ladder anymore. I just can't do it. Like my blood pressure goes to like I'm going to die. That's what's going to happen.
So many old men like break their back and break their legs, break their hip, and die on ladders.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No, what we want.
It is.
Especially if you're drinking beer, don't get on a ladder.
It is just beer. There's no reason to get hurt for it. That is true.
So I guess one of the questions would come up is about balance. You know, you've added a bunch of other stuff. How do you decide when enough is enough?
Move fast, break stuff is a
That's
great
the
motto.
way, yeah.
But yeah, like I've been a cook for a decade. I kind of have this like I dance with the line of over seasoning things often. My whole life, I like loud flavors, strong flavors. So sometimes you go over, sometimes you don't. It's a lot of vibes. The beauty, if you can, like the thing about using syrups and stuff, or even making your own syrups, which is a great alternative, is you can test it. I get my little beaker, I put 100 mils in there, I get my little eyedropper, I put 1 mil in there, and I go, that's 1%. In the keg, that's 200 mils, right? It's 19 liters, but it's 20. I'm not doing that kind of math. And
Well, mils times the number of centiliters in.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have a tolerance. We're rounding up.
Yeah.
So 31, but no.
So
I'm not gonna do the math.
You know, I'll mix in a couple different dilutions. Like we do a pickle blonde this weekend. We're gonna do a pickle blonde. Of course, no one will hear this in time. And I will go like, all right, 3% in the blonde. That tastes good. I'll put 3% of the total volume in the keg of the pickle juice, and then mix it with the beer. But if it's something like fruit, where I'm making fresh fruit, and I don't have that tea or tincture to play with and dial it in, I kind of lean towards go more than go less, especially with more delicate fruits. I've never ordered a raspberry beer and been like, oh, there's too much raspberry in this.
There
You
is.
know?
That's a true statement.
I'm
That's a
just
true
like,
statement.
this is kind of almost cider, and I still love it. You know, I want it raspberry.
Yeah.
What I have done a lot is ordered a raspberry beer and gone, there's raspberry in this? So
Sad face, right?
I would much rather lean towards the, oh, wow, this is barely beer anymore, and make someone who's grumpy, who shouldn't have ordered a raspberry beer in the first place upset.
Have you ever played with rhubarb?
I have not. I should, though. It is a friggin' weed at this point.
Oh
So.
my god! I've done a rhubarb saison. My buddy gave me his recipe, and it's like 5 pounds of rhubarb per 5 gallons.
Yeah.
So 1 a gallon.
Yep.
Yep.
And the hot side, cold
We
side?
did it all. I did boil edition. I did a mash editions, boil editions.
Oh, fun.
Dry rhubarb editions.
Are you chopping it up
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
putting it in there?
So
Or do you freeze it?
No, it's fermentation, and like a dry hop at the end, kind of thing.
Do you freeze it? beforehand?
Chunks. I froze them,
Froze
and then I had
chunks?
to just chunky.
Yeah, okay.
Lots of pectin in.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh God.
I have a huge bush right out back,
Yeah, it's
ready
fantastic.
to roll.
I
better-
used pectinase at the end of the show.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
And it dropped out, and I was very thankful because it was murky in the way shitty hazies are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In my favorite beer though, saison.
they're so good.
I love them.
Did a show on that one if you haven't heard the saison. So get over there and do that just
Just a little while back.
a little minute ago. Yeah, that saison one or the rhubarb is good.
You guys doing a saison?
We're planning on doing a peach saison hazy IPA
Okay.
with Bastion.
So
in
it's a saison.
the spring.
It's a hoppy
It's a
saison.
Hoppy saison.
Hoppy hazy saison.
Hoppy hazy,
I think
peachy.
you can. What do you remember? What the IBU limit on?
It was
Like
0
by
to
style.
nothing.
Yeah, it was like. Did it have one?
0 to
We just did that
100,
show. I
100.
think
What was the max? 102?
100's the theoretical maximum
Of
of
temperature?
hops.
Hops.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the most you can get. 100%.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we just did that show, and I can't remember what the IBU
Tolerance
threshold
is.
was.
Remember
Yeah,
we
but
were-
I think it's clear up
you-
into over 45, which is into
you don't
IPA
remember,
category.
Ben. Okay, I can look at this can right here and go, okay, blah, 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 1 pint, 68% alcohol by volume, 60 IBUs, cool, yeah, okay. Remember, last
Right,
week,
that-
or 2 weeks, yeah, last week, we couldn't find any of the IBUs on any of the cans.
Oh yeah, and they were IPAs too.
Uh-huh.
Well,
That was
ideas
interesting.
aren't
Yeah, we know
real.
IBUs are a lie too. So.
All right, so now that we've fully violated Reinheitsgebot,
Yes.
um,
Which we almost
how do you
have
feel
in this
about
country.
this? How do you feel about this?
How do I feel about it?
How do you feel about violating Reinheitsgebot?
I love it. I think I'm really glad
It's a recidivist.
that the in the early 1900s the German immigrants fought against bringing it to this country because it almost happened.
Wow.
And
Cool wrinkle.
yeah,
You really would have been screwed using hops.
the American beer scene would be what it was in 1970 and nothing else. And it would even be different from that because that beer, Budweiser, it's not Reinheitsgebot. It kind of tastes like it is, but it's got corn in it, it's got rice in it,
Yeah.
and
Take that. Reinheitsgebot.
Oh, right.
Whatever. Reinheitsgebot, whatever.
So when they Reinheitsgebot, whatever it in 1520.
Yep, something around there in Bavaria.
Then they said cereal grains, right? That's what.
No,
they
they
Oh
said
yeah,
that's
well
what
they had to
called it.
amend it because in
Right.
1620
'Cause
they
the
invented
Hefeweizen
the
came
Hefeweizen
out.
got really
And that
really
was the
popular.
king's favorite
so they
beer.
it's like we're gonna make this an exception.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cereal grain.
Well, it's malts, is my understanding.
Ah.
And I don't think you can malt corn and rice.
I've seen malted corn. It's like a red corn. I can't get any of it. I keep getting asked about it.
You can malt corn because all malting is you start the seed to grow.
Right.
So if it's a seed and it will grow, it can be malted.
No.
It malts prior to what we drink, but it malts and then grows from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, malted oats.
Grows from that.
Yeah,
And
you
we
malt
just-
oats.
we
I
just
use
steal it
malted
from
oats.
them.
Do you use any? Did you play around with any like weird grains? The non,
There's only so much, so I don't got a cereal cooker, so I can't really use raw rice, raw corn, like the Budweiser guys are doing. I can use corn sugar, I can use flaked rice, processed so that it's easier to mash. We're just doing the single infusion
yeah.
like they've been doing since 1700 or whatever in England. But I use a lot of wheat. I like wheat as my primary head retention protein guy. So anytime I would use dextrin, I'd rather use wheat. And then rye every time I can sneak it in. Oats for my hazies.
Do you use the flaked oats?
I use oat malt. I'm a big fan of it. I've gotten weird inconsistency off of flake oats. So our last batch of porter had a little low gravity, and it felt like a sack of malt was missing. And we had a different flaked oat than we've been using. And I was like, I wonder if I got bad efficiency off those oats.
Yeah, I am usually subject to whatever they send me.
Right.
On some of those flake products, like it's generic oat, and it's come from 3 different sources, 3 or 4 different sources from the same vendor.
This dude's a homebrew. He's a homebrew store.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
not
yeah,
an actual brewery. He doesn't need that good of quality control.
Like there is no control over it. The distributors have what they have, and it's something as generic as flaked oats for the amount that is produced.
It's just kind of all over the place.
They're not, for the amount that gets is needed.
Yeah.
There's no energy there.
So
whatever you get.
I buy raw malted oats because it's cheaper than Simpson's malted oats. And it
All
is the
imports.
same always. So
RAR is U.S.
I believe
A lot of also grown in Canada.
yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So Gambrinus is also a supplier we use in Canada.
Imported from
A
Canada.
lot of grain comes out of Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, a ton.
Yeah.
Most.
Yeah, Canada and Golding.
Right.
A little bit in Eastern Washington, but they plant higher value crops than barley in Eastern Washington, generally.
Oh.
Attention! Vacation's over, and from now on, you will brew when you please, and the first and last words out of your little brewer's mouth will be, I need a beer. Capiche?
Sir, yes, sir.
If you ladies leave my store, if you survive my special brewers unit training, you will be a homebrewer. You will be a minister of beer, ever praying for more beer. Do I make myself clear?
Sir, yes, sir.
Learn to brew with Northwest Brewer Supply. Classes are available today at nwbrewers.com.
All right. Little lightning. We got a little lightning round here for you, Alex. Rapid fire questions. Answer fast. Think less. Drink more.
Most overrated beer style.
Milkshake IPA.
Most underrated ingredient.
Rye.
First beer you fell in love with.
Space Dust.
Hazy IPA. Love it or leave it.
Love it.
Fermentation temp, low and slow, or hot and wild?
Flavor dependent. But generally, if I'm doing saison, wild yeast derived things, super hot. Hazy's in the medium-ish high, like I did my last one at 70. All my lagers are low and slow.
If you could brew a beer with any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, Dan Campbell, I guess.
Fruit in your beer, always, sometimes, or never.
Fruit and beer's great. Can't say no to that.
Clearly. I remember that's that old man law, like Bruce Will. What? Not Bruce Willis. Is like
The man,
Burt
the man
Reynolds
Club or something.
and yeah, old Miller Lite. Was it Miller Bud Light? I don't know if I can remember. It was a long time ago. If you had to ditch one ingredient forever, malt, hops, or yeast.
Malt, you can't make alcohol without yeast.
Try it.
And you can make wash with other sugars.
Well thought out.
The strangest beer name you've ever seen or you've brewed?
That is a rough one. I mean, Stoned Age was a funny name. It was a beer we used to brew that we partnered with a local cannabis producer who is now defunct, unfortunately. And we just tried to make the weediest tasting IPA possible. The TTB was very concerned all the time about it. They were like, "Are you putting weed in the beer?" We were like, "No."
No.
And why
under the
does
same
it have
umbrella?
a bunch of weed on it? They are cousins, yeah. They're both cannabinoid, I believe.
If we open your fridge right now, what's the beer in there?
La Raza.
Excellent. Speaking of weird beer names, my favorite one was Reno as fuck.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Great beer. It's a good beer too. Down in.
There
sorry.
Goes the Whatever is always my go-to Goza name. So we did There Goes the Farm.
There goes a farm.
There Goes a Farm.
I see what you
That's
did
cool. I like that. Good names.
there.
Pretty cool, man.
Alex, dude, it's been a blast having you in the show today. I hope you had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
We're 5 beers into it. If we're not having a
5
good
beers
time,
by 3 people, to be fair.
all right. Well, I mean, round.
2-ish.
I don't know. You can count it however you want. If you never finish your glass, that's not even one.
Right.
Dog beers, we're not even one beer in.
No.
in dog
I'm not
beers.
finished with mine.
Yeah. Excellent beers.
Oh, there's still some in
that
there.
porter was.
Here,
I
there's-
really like that.
Drink
yeah.
out of the
Drink
can,
out, I'm
Ben.
All right.
Or just.
Yeah, I love our porter. It's not my go-to style, and I don't mean to, sound better than everyone else, but I do think it's one of the best porters on the market. And it's dry and it's clear.
It's a
Nice.
pretty damn tasty example.
I like it.
Gonna drink more of that.
I'm
in the
drinking
future.
again on the beer 30.
You had a peanut butter
Yes.
last week on that. Yeah.
Yeah, the peanut butter flavoring was surprisingly mild. It was like a
Yeah.
bottle and a half each for the kegs. And normally the porter flavors go pretty well. That one was not as well received.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Yeah, it's just spilled beer.
Next, what's the next one you're doing?
We are doing Peter Piper packed up.
Pickle. That's right, the pickle beer.
So pickled
Pickled peppers?
pepper blonde.
So that's that's Friday.
Yeah. So
And what time does it start?
noon Friday. It will be
Noon
on.
Friday. All right.
Yeah, when we open.
All right.
So when I come home on Friday, that means I have to stop there
Yes, sir.
as my Friday stop for a beer and give you a review
Yes, sir.
on what Untapped.
Untapped. You have to manually add them or wait for I think the guy's name Byron to manually add them.
Oh, Byron will add 'em. What time does Byron get there?
I don't know. I just looked at our Untapped account yesterday for the first time.
Hey, can I ask a favor?
Yes.
Can you put into the management if you can get a foosball table in there?
Unlikely, but I'm not opposed to it personally.
You remember where the dartboard used to be? Oh, maybe not.
No, it's yeah.
Yeah, so you used to have a dartboard in there too, and now the dartboard's gone. And you used to have games you could play, and the games are the games still there?
We got
Some board
cornhole.
games? Board games inside.
I think there's a pile of them. Yeah.
Probably still there. But yeah, I think there's a table back there. But
Yeah, there's a kids' room. It's got chalk.
no, I
Fun
want
place.
a foosball table to
Yeah.
go in and play. That's not for kids.
No.
Kids don't even know what foosball is.
Yeah.
Only old farts like me.
Again, thanks for being on the show.
Anyways,
It's
yeah.
been a
Yeah.
fucking
Fuck,
blast.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Love to have you on again. We'll come up with any shitty excuse
Let's
to do it again.
let's
we'll
do an
that.
on location kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be down.
That'd be cool. Yeah, be wicked. They got
The
a great space for it.
acoustics are probably poor, but whatever.
We'll
That's fine. With
yeah.
these with these
We'll be
mic
so
here,
drunk. It'll be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
it's okay.
I won't care.
Yeah. With the mic we're on the double. We're on the double mic. That's why
Yeah.
we sound different again.
Again,
We sound
yep.
like we used to.
Right. Yep. We got to share a mic. We're in the works. Eventually we'll have third, fourth, whatever. We'll have all that stuff. It's only episode 32.
Yep.
Episode 32,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
You know, it all depends on you.
Keep it up.
We'll be right back. No, wait a minute. Wait.
That's it.
okay.
It's the end.
Thanks for
We're not going
listening.
anywhere. I just said
Thanks
that,
for
didn't I?
listening.
Oh, thanks for. Oh, didn't we do that? I didn't do that. Thanks for listening to
the
the Beer Craft.